Hi everyone. So this is my review of Home with God and a Life That Never Ends by a very good author Neale Donald Walsch. Sorry about that. And he writes the series of books called Conversations with God. And he is an author who has direct access to talk with God, which is super fascinating. And he is backed up in this by Pope John Paul II. Um, and I'm going to touch upon the subject of hell since even before I have died, I've actually had come in contact with some very hellish experiences. So I'm going to read about what God has to say to the author about hell. So it says, "Let us be clear, hell does not exist. There simply is no such place." Which I find interesting because the way he says it is actually really fascinating, that it's a figment of what you believe. So I'm going to go on and read some quotes in the book. "I know that this is the question of the ages, what happens following our death, but I've got to ask it directly, and I hope you'll give me a direct answer." Now this is the author's quote, and in the dark bold print is God's answer. "I will, of course, I will, but it's not going to be a short answer. It's not going to be, well, you either go to heaven or you go to hell, depending on what kind of life you've had or led. I can't give you any one sentence replies to a question like this. No, you'll have to leave that to the church. No comment. So your answer? Let me begin by saying that there is one thing that will be the same for everyone, and that is your hold on. Death will be experienced in what you would call stages or phases, and the first stage is the same for everyone. In stage 1, at the moment of your death, you will instantly experience that life has gone on. This will be the same for everyone. There could be a brief period of disorientation to you as you come to realize that you are not with your body, but instead are now separate from it. Let me just go back and say that I had a very negative experience in my 20s, and it had placed a feeling of hell like without me dying, and I think it was my being alive at having my senses shut down and start from the beginning. So I had to it was like a rebirth, and it made looking outside or very far away from me very, very bad. It was a very gravely bad thing to do. So what I ended up doing was going into my room and laying on my bed and shutting my eyes for like the whole day until this passed. It was like, I think it was equivalent to like, when you come into Inception, you don't have any senses or anything that is normal. And so that's what had happened to me. I mean, looking at like a building that was in construction was very bad. Anything deep was very bad. So I'm going to move on and read more. "Soon you will come to understand that while you have died, you have not ended your life. It is in this moment that you will realize and experience fully, perhaps for the first time, that you are not your body, that a body is something you can have, but not something you are. Immediately you will move into stage 2 of your death, and this is where individual paths diverge. In what way? If the belief system that you embrace before your death includes the certainty of life going on, once you grasp that you have died, you will know immediately what is happening and you will understand it. Your second stage will then be the experience of whatever you believe happens after death. This will be instantaneous. If you believe in reincarnation, for instance, you may experience moments from previous lives of which you have no previous conscious memory. If you believe that you will be enfolded in the embracing terms of an unconditionally loving God, that will be your experience. If you believe in a day of judgment or a time of reckoning followed by paradise or damnation for all eternity, you tell me what happens then. Exactly what you expect. As soon as you move through the stage of one death and realize that you are no longer living with the body, you will move into stage 2 and will experience yourself being judged, just exactly as you had imagined that you would be. And the judgment will turn out just exactly as you imagined that it would. If you died, sorry, that's my dog shaking out. Thanks for being patient with me. If you died thinking that you deserve heaven, which I think I do, you will immediately experience that, and I hope I will. And if you think that you deserve hell, you will immediately experience that. Heaven will be exactly as you imagine it would be, as will hell. If you have no idea about the specifics of either, you'll make them up right on the spot. Then these places will be created for you that way, instantly. You may remain in these experiences as long as you wish. Well then, I can find myself in hell. Let us be clear. Hell does not exist. That is very, 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 very enlightening to me, because up until this point, I had never believed in hell. But I certainly hope that I wouldn't go there, because I know that it existed, but not the way this book clarifies it. So I'm really, really relieved that even though I've experienced hell like 4 times in my life without even dying, that I don't expect to go there anymore, that I expect that I deserve heaven. And I've even had some experiences saying that I, after all this, all of this life is said and done, that I will go to heaven. Let us be clear, hell does not exist. There is simply no such place. Therefore, there is no such place for you to go. Now, can you create a personal hell for yourself if you choose to, or if you believe this is what you deserve? Yes, so you can send yourself to hell, and that hell will turn out to be exactly as you imagine or feel a need for it to be, but you will not stay there for 1 moment longer than you choose to. So, as you can see, God has answered our question, saying that if it's all boils down to what you believe you deserve and what you believe you don't, and it will happen. But he's also saying that if you do choose to be in hell, it's not any longer than you choose to imagine to, because you are actually, I read this book, and you are actually separate from anything, like saying that you are that you are actually feeling something negative, because you aren't, and that you know this when you die. So it's very fascinating to know that that is the truth, and that you don't really have to worry about dying, except for hopefully you don't die in pain, that you will be, pain free, and that you don't suffer much. That's all you have to worry about. But once you're there, and that's really fascinating to know to me, that is what it is, and it's a relief to have read this. And no book will get you faster to the truth than this book. It's definitely a must read. And here's a picture of the author. He is just written some brilliant books. He's fortunate enough to have being able to directly talk to God coming through him. So this is a very, he's in a very good position. But by no means he doesn't want to be like known as a saint or anything. He's just normal like us, and he just happens to have happens to have contact with the Lord, and that is a great thing to have, and it's very helpful. For those of you who are seeking answers to what goes on in life and in the afterlife, and that is just something that I wanted to know about, and I'm glad I did, and it was worth my time. So please like and subscribe, and have a great day, guys.